Okay, and we're back. I just wanted to edit that down a little bit. I had to spend quite a bit of time on the 8000 grit before I got it exactly where I wanted it to be. And I wanted to spare you the teaching of that. It's exactly the same, just back and forth. Anyway, remember I was keeping it very light, flat, and using an X pattern, just very, very gently. You can see my cream colored hone is sort of becoming discolored a bit. That's actually metal particles that have been removed from the blade. So, oh yeah, nice and sharp. As you can see here, even dry, it pops hairs right off my arm. My wife always makes fun of me because I have these bald patches all up and down my arm from doing this. And we're done with this guy for a while, so he goes back in the bath. Now, we're going to be turning our attention to the swatty. Get that guy wet a little bit. Now, a good trick I learned from our friend Spazzola, and several other people have experimented with it as well, but he's the one that really sold me on the idea, is what's called a double bevel. If you think of it, the edge of a razor looks kind of like that. Very thin, very narrow. This tip part, really fragile. If you take that and then increase the angle on the hone, you'll file part of this off, so it looks kind of more like that. You know, you have the straight sides and then there's another smaller bevel. Now, while that may seem like it's less sharp, and technically it is because it's a greater interior angle, it actually makes the blade much less likely to chip at a very, very small level, and it actually feels smoother. Kind of counterintuitive. Once again, one of these things I probably wouldn't believe, except when I tried it, and it just really works. So, probably should use my razor to cut that. What I've got here is standard 3M black electrical tape, nominally rated at 3 mils of thickness. What I'm doing here is taping the spine, just exactly like I would do if I was going to do really heavy restoration work and didn't want to cause a lot of spine wear, or hone wear on the spine rather. So just lay it along the spine, as so, and just fold it over. This does not need to be terribly precise, just make sure you get it all down the spine. Now, a lot of people have their own ideas about this. I personally have found that 2 layers of tape, that would be 6 1/1007 inch, to be slightly more effective. Experiment with this. It may depend on your razor, it may depend on how big the razor is. I've only tried this on a couple of razors, and they have all been either 5/8 or 6/8. Once again, experimentation is probably called for here. There is nothing proven about what I'm doing. There's been no rigorous testing of any kind. So, okay, you can see here I've got some tape on my blade, just 2 layers of black electrical tape. Real simple. What this does is raise up the angle of the blade on the hone, kind of like that. I'm totally exaggerating. The point of this is to get some fresh metal right at the edge and create that double bevel rather than keep on filing all that same old metal. So, make sure my hone is nice and wet there. Okay, same thing as before. This has to just be the lightest possible touch. I'm actually going to brace against the table here because there's not a lot of room for error. Just lay the spine down and gently rotate the blade until it touches. Slide it up and down. I mean, no pressure at all here. And just in the interest of keeping my hone even. Okay, that was 10 laps, or down and back is a lap, just like in swimming. So 10 of those. Just real light. You're not trying to remove a lot of metal here, you're just trying to refine the edge. And let's see here. Get my thumb wet. Oh yeah, that is exactly how it needs to be. Let's see here how it does in the old arm hair test. Oh yeah, you can hear it popping them off. Oh yeah, beautiful. Just takes them right off. No resistance. You shouldn't have to push hard. If you have to push hard to make it go through your arm hair, you did something wrong and it's not sharp enough. So, I mean, this knife will cut arm hair despite being not very sharp, but I have to really bear down on it. Probably it's more scraping it off than it is cutting it. This, you should be able to move along very lightly, even a little bit above your skin, and cut the hairs mid-shaft. I may not have gotten it that sharp today. It's probably going to need stropping. No, it's doing it. I'm actually moving this above my skin and it's kind of nicking the hairs halfway up their length. That's the level of sharpness you want. A lot of people refer to the hanging hair test. I don't buy into that because my hair is really, really thin and absolutely won't pass it no matter how sharp the razor is. But anyway, there you have it. You noticed all my hones were previously lapped. Well, possibly you haven't noticed it. It's hard to tell. They have a clean surface. Lapping serves two functions. One, it makes the hone flat, which is absolutely essential because your razor's edge should be completely straight, ideally, unless you have a very smiley razor and you're trying to work around that. I like to keep mine flat, even if that means grinding the razor down. It keeps the stone flat, which is important, and second of all, it keeps the stone clean. You get a lot of these metal particles like you noticed on the 8000 because it's light colored. That's called swarf, and basically that's just really fine metal powder. Now, while that doesn't necessarily hurt the razor, since it came from the razor, but it will actually clog your hone and make it a much less effective polishing tool. So definitely keep your stones clean by lapping them. I didn't really pay as much attention to that as I should when I was getting started. I wasted a lot of time and I dulled a lot of razors on uneven stones. So there you go. The only ones that don't ever need to be flattened are the Spyderco series of ceramic stones, which are guaranteed to be plus or minus, I think, 0.003 of an inch, something tiny. And these DMT ones, which is actually a metal plate, nickel or something, I think, with diamonds embedded, powdered diamond. These are flat enough, again, guaranteed to a certain amount of flatness, plus or minus 1,000th, I think, over the entire surface, that you don't need to flatten them, and you can't flatten them, so it's a good thing. Anyway, once again, this is Jockeys at Straight Razor Place, and thanks for watching. I hope you've learned something.